Hello, folks. Welcome to On the Call Season 2, produced by the Stars Among Us. This is Ozzie, and I appreciate you for tuning into this thank you tour via this thank you card, which shines light on those who have impacted me and my life in one way or another. So on this 9th episode, I introduce you to Karen Gehres. Hello, Karen.
Ozzie, so good to talk to you tonight.
Thank you. So I'm going to tell the people a little bit about you because there's so much to tell. Karen is, after receiving her BFA in painting from Parsons, started selling her paintings on the streets of Soho, and her murals have adorned walls of New York City public schools, and now the demolished, you guys who remember this, 42nd Street project, I remember. While working at Film and Video Arts, she has begun a 9-year shooting odyssey of a documentary called Begging Naked. And this is about Elise Hill, who was a runaway teen. She had survived the streets from an early age by selling her handmade jewelry on the street. But Karen's other documentary is Astor Place Hairstylist.
They're closing after over 75 years in business with the same family owners. Yeah.
Oh, that's sad.
Yeah, they couldn't keep it going any longer with the shutdowns. Yeah. Yeah.
Karen has done a lot of red carpet interviews, for Jack Ryan, Marvelous Mrs. Maisel, Tom Cruise's Mission Impossible, A Quiet Place, oh my gosh, Emily Blunt, as well as Mary Poppins, Fleabag, Ladybird, Deadpool. On top of that, she's been an EPK producer, and I'm only partly listing, folks. Black Swan, Soul Man, that is Soul Man. I'll ask you, what was that like?
That was great. That was awesome. That was great. That was down in Shreveport, Louisiana. And it was actually Bernie Mac's last movie.
No.
Yeah, he was great. He would just make everyone laugh. Basically, he was just doing stand up for them, wow. In between takes. He was wonderful.
She's been an editor and writer, and her client list, again, partial listing: Amazon Studios, Warner Brothers, Netflix, Sony, Walt Disney, CBS, Tyra Banks Show, Lionsgate, Precious, one of my beloved films.
Yeah, me too.
VH1, Rick James. Okay, folks, that's partial.
That makes me think I better start narrowing it down.
No, but you know what? Give them your website.
KarenGehresNYC.com. GEHRES.
Right. Okay.
Right.
That's where, folks, you're gonna get the full Karen. What has influenced your art, your painting, and do you still paint?
I still paint. Yeah, it's funny because of when we were more locked down, stayed inside more. I started painting more, mostly just for like mental health. Honestly, it really helps me a lot. But I'm not painting the way I would actually want to paint, which is much larger, and have a place where I can just make a complete mess and right. leave it and then come back the next day. Right. When you're in an apartment, I'm very grateful for where we live, but the stuff I did during this year were like landscape stuff out the window, small little works, but I'm really glad I did them. They helped me a lot. Mm-hmm. But I went to school for painting.
Right.
I never went to film film school.
Right.
I couldn't afford to go back to school, and like painting was not enough for me. And that's why in the back of my mind, I always wanted film, somehow to be involved in entertainment, because it's like what I love the most. And so to me, it was like painting, you mix that with photography, you mix that with music and a story, and that's film. That's making a movie. There used to be a great place here in Manhattan called Film Video Arts, and if you gave them 2 days a week of your time, they would give you access to film equipment and classes. And that really changed everything for me. And then, because I learned the equipment, I started getting hired as a audio mixer, not because I really wanted to be a sound person. It's just that I knew the equipment, and I wanted to be on those sets.
Right.
So that started and then little by little, I was doing sound for a show that aired on Channel 13, and they said, Karen, why are you doing sound? We know you're doing your documentary. Why don't you should produce? So they were so nice that they offered to have me produce one of their stories for it, a segment for them. And that set things off. And then a friend of mine couldn't do a red carpet one night. She was sick, and she said, Karen, you got a cover for me. And I go, I've never done a red carpet in my life. She goes, you can do it. Yeah. And that was it. You just need somebody to give you a chance. And, you say you did that one job, and then I started getting hired more and more. It takes that one chance,
Yes.
to do it. And I didn't screw it up. So,
With Begging Naked,
mm-hmm.
we received reviews by Martin Scorsese, Roger Ebert, and the words that they used to describe, like Martin said, really devastating and well made. That coming from him, that's major.
He was my hero. He was my film hero.
And Roger Ebert, an amazing documentary and about an extraordinary person. Wonderful, wonderful accolades. Now, how did you meet the protagonist, Elise?
It was through painting, actually. I worked down in the East Village. There's a store called Gehres Paints, and I worked there for years. And it was make your own paint. It had all the ingredients to make your own, especially if you're somebody that goes through paint a lot. And she walked in, and we started talking, and we ended up becoming very, very close friends. And when I met her, she was selling these unbelievable jewelry that she made by hand out in front of the Art Students League. And little by little, she's telling me about her past, and she had run away from New Jersey. She was a prostitute at one point, heroin addict. She cleaned herself up, went to the Art Students League to learn art. That's how we met. We met through the painting connection. And I was very upset because after years of being away from the sex industry, she said she was going to go back into it by stripping at Show World on 42nd Street and 8th Avenue. I'm not judging anybody, but she has such incredible talents as an artist that I was so upset. I wanted her to keep going, but it's tough. You're trying to make a living as an artist, and I saw that she was pulled in that direction to make, the fast cash there. And she did. She made a lot of money at Show World. She brought an easel up on stage during her act and painted everything that was in the audience, everything that was happening on stage.
Wow.
I mean, she brought her art into stripping.
Wow.
So she has these unbelievable paintings that she literally did on stage. It's very like Toulouse-Lautrec. I mean, she's just incredible. She's one of the smartest people I've ever met. Doing that work, really took a toll, and she ended up, you know, really having mental breakdown. She was getting very paranoid, conspiracy theories. I didn't know she was dropping acid like all the time.
Wow.
She was evicted from her apartment that she had, and it was like this little, I don't even know what you would call it. It was like above the elevator shaft on 7th Avenue in the, like across from Carnegie Hall. And she basically carved that place out. It was not even a place that you would really live, but she made the windows in there. She was thrown out of that place and ended up living in Central Park. It took 9 years to tell this odyssey of hers.
Right.
And then she didn't want to go to Brooklyn. That's where I was living at the time. I don't know. It was very traumatic stuff that happened, and she still spends most of her day in the boathouse at Central Park. She's still making artwork, like unbelievable detailed watercolors of nature. And everybody in the park knows her. She's very friendly with like the bird watchers, and she was one of my best friends. And it was really tough to see all of it happen to her.
Yeah. You know, and sometimes when we look at our own lives by the grace of God, you know?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So we come now to the other one, Astor Place Hairstylist.
Yes. You know, after Begging Naked, I had to do something that was
yes,
a little lighter.
But there must have been some crazy characters.
They're the best. It's just such a great play. Yeah, you know what it's like there. I mean, there's still over 50 hairstylists in that place at any one time, and they speak every language. You know, you walk in there, you're from, you know, Kazakhstan, someone will speak your language. You know, and it was great because I shot it probably over like a couple years. I was going in there, you know, not every day. I wouldn't go in to shoot. I would go in, you know, different intervals. I'd go in, and they weren't the easiest bunch to get to know right away. They, you know,
they're accustomed to being on the other end where other people are speaking to them.
Yeah, exactly.
When you're going in, putting the camera on them, it's a harder thing.
Right. And the thing is, most of them, those aren't their real names. Those are aliases, because originally, you know, it's owned by an Italian family. And so in the beginning, they were like, you know, like, we can't have 5 Luigis in here. We already have, we need to start making, you know, have different names. So like, you got an Italian guy in there, literally they're from Italy. Right. And his name is like, I don't know, whatever it is. And they go, no, your name's going to be Scott. You're Scott. You know, there are very few of them have their real names, you know.
What was interesting for me was to hear they used to have a karaoke room.
Oh yeah, that's still there.
I gotta check.
Yeah, a little karaoke in the back. And Alberto, he's from Sicily. He's been there for many decades, and he really loves his karaoke at lunchtime. Yeah, that's. But it's all in the documentary. It was so great, and that one they did air that one on Channel 13, and it was so funny because the placement of where they put it, it was literally on directly after the final Downton Abbey episode.
Oh,
what? You're going from beautiful Downton Abbey to, you know, the basement at Astor Place with, you know, 50 barbers.
Oh, going back to Begging Naked. You were awarded grants from the New York State Foundation of the Arts and Ford.
Yes.
Foundation.
Yes.
But you were also selected to be included in the permanent collection of the Library of Congress.
Yeah, Begging Naked.
How did that happen?
I have no idea. You know, Ozzie, to this day, I don't know how that happened.
Wow.
It's a mystery. I actually asked them because I'm like, what? I got this I got an email from them. And I'm like, what? I go, who? And I wrote back right away, like, wait, how does this happen?
Right.
And they really don't. They don't tell you anything. And apparently it's got to come from someone.
Right.
My guess it might have been Roger Ebert. You know, I possibly someone like that, because I don't know. I really have no idea how that happens.
Okay. So going back to Ask the Place now, what was the inspiration for you to do that? What made you go, how did you get from begging naked to Ask the Place?
Yeah, before moving up here, I lived in the Lower East Side and the East Village for over 30 years, and I started going back to Astor to get my hair cut. And after I hadn't been there in years, I'm like, well, I'm not happy with the salon treatment anyway, so I might as well go get, a $15 haircut, because if I pay more, I'm not satisfied anyway. So I went back to Astor, and I found someone really great there, Fran, and that's not her real name either. Right. And so I'm talking to her. I'm like, God, Fran, I can't believe no one has done a documentary on this place. There were, of course, they've been in the news many, 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 many times, featured in little segments, but to like really dig in a little deeper and get to know some of them and their history. And I was a little nervous because it can be a little intimidating in there walking in. People from out of town, they must be very intimidated by it. You walk in and you're like, hey, what are you looking for today? What do you need? Over there in the corner. Go over here. It's not like, would you like anything to drink? Would you like a cup of coffee or a glass of wine? No, over there in the corner, Alberto will take you, But I asked the owners. I knew they were hesitant, like, oh yeah, we heard this a million times. Yeah. Nobody's ever finished anything. We give people access and they don't finish what they start. And I'm like, no. I'm gonna finish. I finish what I start. I'm gonna do this. And it took a couple of years because I wanted to try to get as many people as I could in there. And they were great. The owners, really good people, and so many of us barbers and hairstylists.
I was looking at the trailer and I saw some of the stories you.
Oh, the fighting and the drunkenness of the customers and stuff. One poor guy died in the chair.
Oh my God.
Yeah, they had to put him in the hallway because they were so busy in there that while waiting for the ambulance, it took a while. They're like, hey, wait a minute, we can't have him sitting here. We gotta keep moving. There's a line out the door for haircuts. We gotta keep moving.
Wow. So, productions.
Those are fun to do. I love doing.
But what is the funniest interview you've had?
Well, it's one of my favorites because he kept us laughing. I'm not kidding, for 8 hours straight. We were in a room, it was me and the crew, and it was for a junket. Right, so the other press people keep coming in. It's a little revolving door. David Bowie, we were in that room with him for 8 hours. He was like better than any stand-up comic I'd ever seen.
Holy smoke! He
was so hilarious. He was in Ricky Gervais's Extras, the show Extras. And, oh my! I mean, that gives you a sample. One of the episodes that he's in, he's hilarious. The best sense of humor. I think that was one of the best days ever. Wow. And we just literally laughed the entire time. My face hurt. The time, and he just wanted to make us laugh. I mean, it was great. A very lovely person.
You'd never think that about him.
No. Nope.
Wow.
No.
That's great to hear, though.
Yeah, and who was also really cool was Clint Eastwood.
Really?
Really. And let me tell you, he sprinkled some kind of weird fairy dust around my face, because when I looked at him, he cast some weird spell, and he looked, oh, wait a minute, Clint, are you like 40 something years old now? Because like magnetism.
Really?
And I wasn't expecting it. Yeah. And it wasn't just once, because I've interviewed him a few times, and it's like, wow, this guy's, I think he's like 90 now. I don't know, something magical. Yeah.
I have a question to ask you on the technical end of your editing process. Do you listen to like music or anything when you're editing? Do you have anything playing anywhere when you're editing?
Well, first of all, I hate editing.
I know the feeling.
I hate it.
Yes.
And I'd rather do just about anything else, but I'm forced to, because I can't afford to pay someone to edit everything that I need edited. I did have wonderful people that helped edit, but we would always work on it together. I was with them all the time. But it's funny that with the music, because most of the time I'm thinking of the music first, because it's really drives a lot of the scenes and the emotion. So that's dangerous though, because I got very attached to some music. Being naive, I thought, well, in the end, I couldn't afford that music. So music would have to be replaced. And, I'll never do that again. That's why on Astor Barber, I chose music that, especially with the karaoke, it was going to be very dangerous.
Right.
And I said, well, no. I'm sorry, Alberto, but you have to sing, some old Italian song that, it's like free use. Right. And he's happy to do it.
Yeah, I could see that.
Anything, give me anything. Because the first song he wanted to choose was Sweet Caroline. Okay. And I'm like, I actually went and found out how much that was going to cost to use. I'm like, nope, you're not using that. I can't. I'd have to, I don't know what I'd sell. I don't have anything to sell that could pay for that.
Right.
So, yeah, but just sitting down to edit, I really have to concentrate.
Okay.
So I'm not playing music while I'm doing it, but I'm thinking of music pieces that would go with certain scenes. So that, I'm not, I think it would be too distracting for me to hear any background stuff. That's how bad I am.
Describe a time that you experienced a technical challenge with a client.
I have had a couple things happen on the red carpet. And that's the place you don't want it to happen, because you have one chance. Once the red carpet's over, that's it. You're not gonna, oh, excuse me, we had a problem with the audio. Could you come back? No, it's over. So I have had a few things happen, and of course, I'm doing the interview, so I'm not aware of if something's happening with the audio or the camera, unless the guys tell me. So there's been a few things where I got back to the edit, because normally right after the red carpet I have to run over to an edit house and we edit, and then we have to send that out so that the news organizations can grab that for whatever news, either late night news or the next morning. So I've had it where, oh my God, we got back to the edit house and it was like, oh my God, what happened to the audio? Or, so it hasn't, thank God it hasn't happened.
What happens then?
You have to try to salvage that. There was only one time where the audio, it just could not be salvaged. And it was a pretty big premiere too.
Ouch.
Yeah.
Let me ask you, what roadblocks did you face when you started out for your EPK work?
I've been very fortunate with that. And, I love doing it. I think it's just being a freelancer, that kind of stress where it's, feast or famine. There's been really some scary months in the past where, oh my God, am I going to get another gig? Every freelancer, I think, goes through that. And, like right now, I know a lot of people that I work with on the shoots that, they have hardly had any gigs this year. And so we're like, wait, is it going to come back? Is it going to come back to the New York City, the East Coast at all, for shoots? So roadblocks, no, I've had a lot of support, and I've had a lot of good people that continue to call me for work. So maybe it's something like I've blocked things out that have been
right.
But I think for somebody that had not formally studied film or anything like that, I think I've been pretty lucky, the gigs that I've gotten for this long.
So you mentioned Martin Scorsese, but what directors or producers influence your work? I know you do documentaries where he does mostly film. But... Well,
the thing is, he has a documentary. I don't know. I mean, people that love documentary, maybe they know this, but he has a film that he made early on. It's just called Italian American, and it's his parents in their apartment down on Mott Street, just sitting on their plastic covered living room furniture, and then she goes to make sauce, and it's fantastic. It's like 45 minutes long, documentary, and it's just great storytelling. And I can see like his films that had come after that. You see where some of that inspiration came from, his parents and the way they live, and the sense of humor, and the early movies that he made. To me, they were just fantastic, because I love real dialogue. That's why I like documentary. I mean, I love movies like, especially from the 70s, where the dialogue, it wasn't so politically correct and everything. It was real. It was just real language, real way of talking to people. There's been documentaries that have influenced me a lot.
Which ones? Top three.
Big impact was, there's a movie called Dark Days, and it's about people that used to live underground, like under Grand Central Station, and it's beautifully shot. It's black and white film, and you're literally going like multi-levels under New York City streets, and they're living there, a whole community living.
I think I remember that one.
Yeah, very oof. And then there's another one called Brother's Keeper. There's a show called Gomorrah. Yeah, unbelievable show. It's set in Naples, Italy, and it's perfect. To me, it's perfect. So anything, whatever it is, just if there's really great storytelling, I'm in. Documentary or narrative stuff. Yeah.
What and who inspires you on a daily basis? Like when you get up in the morning?
I never think of it like that. It still gets me wanting to get out of bed in the morning and get my blood flowing. Is still probably the greatest love of my life is New York City. And that's it. I still love walking out the door, hitting the pavement, and I feel the city, and I could not live anywhere else. Maybe a couple
right there with you.
It's still my greatest love.
Yes. And right in the heart of the city.
And I remember there was, when I was in school, I'll never forget it, because it was like the first days of being at school, and there was a sculptor that lived in the building, and he had all of us come down to his floor to look at his sculptures, and he had this one sculpture. It was like 2 levels. There were people on one level, and then people on this below it, and the people on the below little sculpture, they had all they were kind of hunched over, they're all sad looking, And then on the top level, they were all like hustle and bustle, and their head, moving and shaking. So the bottom was called Brooklynites, and the top was called Manhattanites. I'm like, oh no, I gotta live in Manhattan.
Right. That's funny. Oh my God.
Yeah. So it's still New York. I remember I never used to want to leave at all because I thought I'd miss out on things. Like even for a couple of days. No, I might miss out on something. No.
I've been here since 76, December 76. And I've loved it ever since.
Yeah.
So tell me, how has COVID affected you or your business?
Wow. It was March. In March, literally, I was on the phone with a cameraman that I was going to be working with for a gig in the spring. Actually, it was going to start at like the end of March into the spring for a new show, and I think it was NBC. And I was going to be doing the EPK for that. In the scenes, we're going to be on set, blah blah blah. It was going to be a good spring. And leading up to this, it was pretty good. It was like busy, and calls were happening. Oh yeah, I was excited. It's going to be a good year. And within 24 hours of that phone call, it all shut down. They said, no, we're shooting everything down. And in the beginning, people were like, wow, maybe we'll be back into it by April. And I'm no different than most of the people I know, where we've had nothing since March. And thank God, like this week, I'm doing a couple interviews for a series that's coming out for Apple TV. But before that, the only other gigs, thank God I had these, I don't know what I would have done, were these few pharmaceutical gigs that I produced. And that's how we met. And so outside of that, it's been devastating. And I miss, the thing is, it's not just, of course, financially,
right,
but I miss all the people I work with. Through, we always have a good time. We like what we do. Right. And that's really been hard. Like, and I hear their stress, a lot of them have, kids they got to put through college. Right. It's devastating.
Yeah. You've started a production company?
Oh, well, that was one good thing. One good thing that happened out of this was a very good friend of mine, she's an editor, and we both had like no work coming in, and she had moved to LA, and she's like, we got to do something. So we decided to start our own company where, she has the West Coast, I've got New York, and we can do shoots that are COVID safe, remote, and make shoots look great, that it doesn't even look like it's a Zoom call. It looks like a real beautiful interview that is as if someone were in the room with you. So it was really an answer to that, and to not go completely crazy and try to get work that the two of us could do, because she could take the editing, I do the producing, and a lot of it doesn't have to be done the way we've always done it. So it was.
Aside from the big jobs, are you looking at getting work?
We're trying everything, because I'll do whatever it is that needs doing.
So if there's a self-tape that somebody wants, would you do that as well?
Of course.
Because that's the thing that's happening right now with tapes and the world.
Yeah, we like doing that. I mean, we like doing that for what we have to do. And then, her name's Nayara. She's excellent at that. And she's also a documentary filmmaker of her own work. So we get, putting these things together and actually I understand the trying to sell product, if it's the movie or the actor,
right.
You have to sell it.
Right.
So I get that point. She gets to how to, we get the storytelling.
Right.
And yeah, absolutely, we can do that. Yeah.
So then if somebody has a script and whatnot that they want to see if they could put it to film, would that be something that they would also come to you with?
Sure, absolutely.
Whether it's a short or a feature?
Yeah. Park Avenue, it's called.
Has the pandemic made you think or see something about yourself or the world at large that you hadn't before?
Oh, that's loaded. That is a loaded question.
Yes.
All right. The bottom line is, if the people that I love, my family, can get through this healthy, that's really all I want. That's my biggest wish, my greatest fear. Then I'd be very happy. I'm getting a little suspicious, kind of even more lately.
Would it be suspicious of the politics, suspicious of what the vaccine?
I'm very, very, very suspicious of the politics. I'm suspicious with the COVID tests,
right?
Of which I've had many, for work, and I have been on a set where 2 people were tested positive. Then they were tested in the same day 2 more times, and both of them were negative. Then they had to go and get a much more deeper test, the one that's more in-depth test, not the rapid test. And they were negative. They are officially negative. So I don't understand, and I'm and these rapid tests are $100 to $125 a pop.
Right.
Okay, so
right.
It's just it's big business on top of it.
Right. Yeah, I've just had to have mine done for another project I'm on. I'm like, oh my God. Anyway.
Wasn't it fun?
Lots of fun.
I have to get another one on Tuesday. It's like,
I gotta do one on tomorrow.
Yikes.
Yes. What do you do to relax? Now I know you can paint and all that sort of stuff, but what is the me thing that Karen does to relax?
Ozzie, if I want to completely, just forget about everything, I am not above watching 90 Day Fiance. That is one of my favorite shows. Or,
yes,
if I really want to calm myself and get warm and fuzzy and just, I want to slip back into my, a great childhood memory, I will turn on cable channel 1265 and watch Match Game. Oh yes.
Oh wow.
I need my Charles Nelson Riley and Brett Summers and Richard Dawson. Yes. You have no idea what medicine this is for me.
I gotta tell you, mine is the old westerns. Sunday mornings is Hop Along Cassidy.
You're a little classier than me, Ozzie. I go for the game shows.
It's crazy what's happening with us.
Oh yeah. And then forget it. My husband thinks I'm. Well, no, I take it back. Now he's a little hooked. He wants to know what's going on with 90 Day Fiance too. And our talk better end before it starts because, I have my priorities. So yeah, people are going to ask, "Oh, Karen, what did you get out of the pandemic? You deep thoughts?" And no, I watched a lot of Match Game and I watched a lot of 90 Day Fiance.
By the way, I love the way that you walk the streets of, the streets of Manhattan, where you're taking pictures of the old telephone booths.
Yeah.
And what you did with Macy's.
Oh,
the decoration was gorgeous. I mean, it just pulled me right in. I love your eye. I really love your eye.
You know what? Now you're inspiring me. I got to get out there more. And, I just do it when I see it, but now you're making me think, I have to show people more.
Right. Because what I do on my Facebook page is I go on other people's pages who become friends, and I pull things from there and put it on my page. Give people who are posting wonderful stuff an opportunity of another page.
Exactly. Yeah. It's funny, Ozzie, that phone booth.
Yeah.
Yikes. I mean, can you imagine? That thing was just dead in my tracks.
I was like, when I looked at that, I was like, oh my goodness, imagine we used to use those. Now it's like a real piece of art there,
Yeah, 15, 20-year-old, they don't even know what that is.
Right.
What is that stump there? It didn't even have a receiver on it.
So aside from Astor Place, is there any other company, organization you think you'd want to give a shout out to for people to help?
Right here in Hell's Kitchen. I mean, if they close down some of these places earlier, or if we go into another lockdown, they're not going to make it.
Right.
How could you possibly make it? I try my hardest to, in the neighborhood here, to go to the restaurants that I can. They're open. I'll get takeout.
It's really, really tough to see. Let's touch quickly on your thoughts of the politics of the day.
Oh God. Oh my God.
We know we're divided, but to see how much is another thing.
I knew we were divided, though. I mean, I knew that. I've been outside of New York City during this, last 4 years. And I knew, I don't just have people in my life that think like me. I know both sides.
Right.
And I don't dismiss people just because they don't think exactly like me.
Right.
I don't call them stupid. I don't call them, terrible names.
Right.
I think if we listened a little bit more to each other,
right.
It's like the respect for opposite opinions is just gone.
Right.
You can't just sling, name calling because somebody doesn't think like you. That's been the most very upsetting. We can't have debate. We can't talk about things at all without calling people, terrible names.
Right.
It's on both sides they do it. And I grew up in a household, one parent was Republican, one was Democrat. I don't understand people that eliminate people out of their life depending on who they're voting for. I mean, what a waste that is. Imagine, you're going to do that over dirty, rotten politics. It's the most disgusting thing to me is politics. I don't know how this is gonna go because, I kind of wish there had been a candidate where, it's never gonna be everybody on board, right? But just so totally divided right down the middle.
We're on razor's edge.
I remain hopeful still about things because I love my country. Yes. I want to see it do well. Whoever is in charge,
just keeping it.
Yeah, I have a lot of hope. It was a great thing that people cared enough to vote.
Yes.
That's hopeful. It got a lot of people out voting.
Yes.
And that means, everyone cares.
Right.
You might not have the same politics, but everyone, I forgot how many tens of millions of people voted. Not just criticizing, they're actually wanting to vote and be involved.
Right.
So that's really good. That means, both sides care.
Right.
They don't agree,
right.
But they want the best for this country. So right. How they see that is totally different, but I wish that it could come together in that way. Like, wait, we all love our country. So can't we start there at least?
Right. Karen, thank you so much.
Thank you, Ozzie.
For this time, for allowing me all that you are, which is more than all that you have on your sites, which is a whole lot.
Oh, God.
Thank you so much for taking the time in my little podcast here.
Oh, it was great talking to you, Ozzie.
Audience, thank you for listening, spending your valuable time with us today. Please care to share. Remember Karen's website, her personal website for her movies and documentaries. Karen, Karen, Gehres, Gehres. When you're on your beat, please stay on the sunny side of the street safely and mask up, mask up, mask up. Karen, thank you,
Yes.
thank you.